Okay, Linda, you're good to go.
Okay, thank you, Nancy. Okay, good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the, let's get rid of that. Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the December meeting of the Township of Woolwich Committee of Adjustment. This meeting is being held electronically due to the COVID-19 pandemic. Precautions and measures are in place regarding social distancing to ensure the health and safety for those in attendance at the municipal office. As a reminder to the committee and for the members of the public attending, this meeting is being recorded and live streamed to the Township's YouTube channel. Anyone who registered to participate in this meeting will be invited to speak in the order of the applications being heard today. I will now do a roll call of the committee. When I call your name, please wave at the camera and say here or present. I, Linda Dixon, am present and I am chairing the meeting. Committee members, Jim Beerley.
I am here and present.
Tim Cronin.
I'm here.
Hans Potkammer.
Present.
Charles Zeidler.
Here.
And we have staff here today. We have David Gundrum, our planner, township planner,
Present.
and our recording secretary, Nancy Thompson.
Present.
Thank you all. The following are the procedures for the meeting. Each application will be read by our recording secretary. Nancy will ask each applicant to make a brief presentation not to exceed 10 minutes. The committee will be given an opportunity to question the applicant. Any other person who is registered with the recording secretary and wishes to address an application either for or against will then be given the opportunity to speak. Please make sure you have your microphone and video turned on and identify yourself clearly for the recording secretary. After everyone has had an opportunity to speak, the committee will then make a decision on the application. Once discussion on your application is complete, please mute your microphone and turn off your video. You are free to leave the meeting at that time, or you're welcome to stay and listen to the balance of the applications. I'm advising the applicants that each application has a 20-day appeal period as required under the Planning Act. And the last day for appeal for applications being heard today is January 5th, 2022. At this time, I will ask any members of the committee if they are declaring a pecuniary conflict of interest with any of the applications.
No, for me.
No.
I am declaring a conflict of interest with application A25.
Thank you, Hans. And I think Nancy has the details. Okay. All right. And
Sorry, lost my mouse there. Yes, I have everything for that. Thank you, Linda.
And so Jim, Tim, and Charles, no conflicts to declare, correct?
No problem.
Correct.
Okay. All right. Nancy, I will now ask you to read the first application, A25, 2021, please.
Thank you. So the first application this evening is minor variance application A25 2021 for Wayne Fisher and Maria Katsetsis Fisher for the property at 8 Tallwood Drive in Westmont Rose. The property is zoned settlement residential R1 and contains a single detached dwelling, a pool house, and garden shed. The applicant is proposing to construct a new 83 square meter detached garage on the property located at the corner of Tallwood Drive and Covered Bridge Drive, and is requesting relief from the following. Building line setback, section 6.10.2D, to reduce the required building line setback from 6 meters to approximately 1.1 meters. Accessory building or structures, section 6.4.2C, to increase the building height from 4.5 meters to approximately 5.7 meters. And accessory buildings or structures, section 6.4.4, to increase the maximum size of all detached accessory structures on the property from 100 square meters to approximately 113 square meters, consisting of the proposed 83 square meter detached garage and existing 21 square meter pool house and 9 square meter garden shed. Mr. Fisher, if you'd like to turn your audio on, you can speak to the application with the committee. Thank you.
Thank you to the chair and committee members for considering our application for a minor variance for our proposed garage. I am Wayne Fisher, and this is my wife, Maria Katsetsis Fisher. We're the owners here at 8 Tallwood Drive. As we noted in our letter when we submitted our application, we've considered many different possible designs and locations for our proposed garage as we narrowed it down to our current proposal. Our lot is one of the larger lots in the West Montrose, in the West Montrose Village, consisting of the original lot plus a portion of what was Sycamore Drive that was added to our lot by a former owner. Our house was originally built around the center of the original lot, but with additional land from Sycamore Drive, our house is now offset to the east of the center of the lot. However, part of that former Sycamore Drive forms approximately half of our driveway. It is at the end of this straight part of the driveway that we believe to be the best location for a detached garage. Visually, this location balances out the offset nature of the house and is in line with the straight part of our driveway that comes across Sycamore Drive. Functionally, it is also near to our house and connects nicely with the existing driveway. Our minor variance application is asking for relief from 3 sections of the zoning bylaw. First, we'd like to ask for relief from the overall height restriction in section 6.4.2C. We would like to use the attic space of the proposed garage as a storage space. My parents are getting up in years, and we can foresee a time in the not too distant future at which they will not be able to stay in their existing home. We have some family items that we would like to keep, and the attic space of the garage would provide ample room to store these items. The increased height at the rear of the garage allows for some shelving units and those kind of things for storage, as well as some headroom to allow for a set of stairs in the rear corner of the garage. From the front, from the roadside, Tallwood Drive, the garage will appear to be a typical single-story garage, and for the most part, the increased height at the rear of the building will not be visible when viewed from Tallwood Drive. Secondly, we are asking for relief from the setback requirements in section 6.10.2D. The boundary between our lot and that of what was former Sycamore Drive is considered to be the front lot line of our property. As such, the bylaw requires a setback of 6 meters from this lot line. Attempting to meet this requirement results in the garage being awkwardly placed at a location that is either very close to the house or recessed deep in the yard. Neither option would appear to be a natural location for the garage, given the width and the deep front yard of our property. We considered alternative locations as well, such as the back corner that fronts onto Covered Bridge Drive. However, any other location we considered were not convenient locations for a garage that would be used almost daily. We determined that the best location for the garage would be at the end of the former Sycamore Drive, which requires relief from the 6 meter setback. The lot line here happens to proceed at a fairly steep angle relative to Tallwood Drive. In order to allow for the garage to be placed both in line with the driveway and in line with the house, we recessed the leftmost bay of the garage. This allows for a setback of about 1.16 meters while still providing a useful garage bay for our summer use car. Thirdly, we are asking for relief from the total lot coverage of detached buildings in section 6.4.4. We sized the depth of the right side then of the garage to allow for some cabinets and a workbench opposite the garage door, while still allowing room for a crew cab pickup truck. A bit of additional depth was added to allow, for example, to rotate the tires of the pickup truck with the garage door closed. In our existing attached garage, our pickup truck barely fits into the garage. It has to be moved forward to almost touch a workbench in order for the garage door to be closed. There is no possibility to rotate tires in this situation with the garage door closed. So in sizing the garage for the detached garage, we increased it from what we currently have. We also allowed a bit of room on the right side of the garage for some cabinets, for the stairs into the attic, and as well as for a bit of space to be able to walk between a parked vehicle and the back of the garage. These considerations resulted in a size of 83 square meters for the garage. However, even though the garage itself meets the requirements of section 6.4.4, when combined with our existing pool house and garden shed, the resulting lot coverage of 113 square meters exceeds the allowed limit of 100. So these are the 3 sections of the zoning bylaw for which we're asking for some relief. We have reviewed the development services report prepared by David Gundrum. We appreciate that the report recommends that the relief from the height and setback requirements be approved. The report, however, recommends against approving the relief for the total lot coverage requirement in section 6.4.4. And I would like to now address this part of the report. I would like to first note that on its own, that is without the existing pool house and garden shed, that the garage itself would fall within the limits of the zoning bylaw. As such, the garage itself should not be considered to be too big for the property. It is only when combined with the other existing structures that the 100 square meters is exceeded. I'd also like to note that since our lot is significantly larger than the smallest lot size allowed for in the R1 zoning, that in fact, our lot is 2.6 times larger than the smallest allowable lot size. So for the smallest allowable lot size, 100 square meters represents coverage of about 7.2% of the lot. For our lot size, that same 100 square meters represents a much smaller 2.8% of our lot. In our application, we're asking for up to 113 square meters of detached structure, which works out to 3.1%. That represents a minor increase in lot coverage of only 0.3% and remains well below the 7.2% allowed for on the smallest lot size. Our request for 113 square meters of detached structure represents a difference of 13 square meters above the limit in the zoning bylaw. Of that 13, 9 square meters is for our existing garden shed. So the garden shed does not have a foundation. It sits directly on the ground. It is located in a rear corner of the property that is not really visible from the location of the proposed garage. It exists outside our pool fence in an area of the property that is obscured by mature trees and our pool house. And I would expect that only a small number of our immediate neighbors would even know that this shed exists. I would like to keep this garden shed, and as such, it is contributing 9 square meters to the 13 square meters that we're asking for. Removing of the garden shed would leave an increment of only 4 square meters. Our pool house is about 21 square meters. It too is not readily visible from Tallwood Drive, nor even most of Covered Bridge Drive. Our pool fence and mature trees obscure the pool house from view from the public, from the roads. Most people walking or driving on the neighborhood roads would not notice the existence of the pool house. Given that the pool house is largely obscured from view, visually it would contribute much less than the 21 square meters of lot coverage that it accounts for. And as such, we feel that the additional 4 square meters we're asking for should be considered to be minor in nature. So we ask that our requested relief from section 6.4.4 also be approved. Thank you to the chair and members for your consideration.
Thank you, Mr. Fisher, for your presentation. Members of the committee, do you have any questions for the applicants? Okay, I'm not seeing any questions from committee members. So we have someone from a member of the public here. Would anyone wishing to speak either for or against this for the application? Mr. Murray, did you want to speak to the application?
Sure. I am a immediate neighbor to Mr. and Mrs. Fisher, and we have no concerns with what they would like to do in building the garage. And in fact, we're on the east side of it. I don't think we'll even be able to see the garage from where we're located. And the garage would not be out of place if you take into account the other buildings either, given the size of their lot. So we have no concerns.
Thank you for your comments, Mr. Murray. Any other members of the public? I don't believe there's anyone else, but I'll ask anyone else wishing to speak to this application. Okay, I'm not seeing anyone. Charles? Yes.
Sorry, Linda, I don't know if we're at this stage yet, but I had a question for David.
Sure.
Are we there yet, or?
Sure. Yep. Go ahead.
So through you, Linda, to David. Mr. Fisher had mentioned storage in the stairs going to a second floor. In your recommendation, it did say though that there's no second story or usable second floor area. Would that include what he had mentioned was the plan for the detached garage?
Through the chair, Member Seidler. So what we mean by that is no second story or usable space as per the building code. So if they go over a ceiling height of approximately 6.5 feet or higher, that would qualify as a usable space. So they conceivably they could still have a second level attic space for storage. We're just requesting that there be that condition to limit it to only a single usable floor for the garage. Not to say that they can't have a second level for storage, but it wouldn't be considered usable space in terms of the building code.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you, Charles. Committee members, any further questions? Comments?
Chair?
Tim?
Not a question, just a comment, and just for where it is, I understand the bylaws, and we're trying to keep these lot cover, the additional buildings on it, but and I recognize a very good presentation by the presenters there about what it is and identifying the areas. So I guess what I'm leaning towards is did the mathematics to show that with 4 square meters he could keep his pool shed and still build the garage he wants, but he would lose his garden shed that does not have a foundation or a base or anything, but that would keep us much closer to the lot coverage area of 100 square meters. So I wouldn't know how to do this. So maybe a comment for David, with 4 square meters, would that get us closer to being a minor addition to this minor variance?
Through the chair, Member Cronin, I think that a reduction down to just a 4 square meter increase from what the maximum is certainly gets us a lot closer to maintaining the intent and purpose of the regulation and the zoning bylaw in this case. And just also for committee's information, the garden shed is a shed that because of its size doesn't require a building permit. It would be under that minimum. It wouldn't have required a building permit to be placed on the property, just for committee's information. But I do think that a proposal to remove that shed and keep the garage as proposed certainly brings us a lot closer to the intent and purpose of the regulation.
Thank you, David.
Tim, anything further on that then? No? Okay. Yep, Tim, did you want to say something?
Oh,
No.
when
Okay, you lit up on me, so I thought maybe you were Charles. Yeah.
Sorry, Tim. So are you suggesting the removal of the garden shed? Is that something that you wanted to look at?
Well, through you, Chair, I wouldn't tell them to remove the garden shed. I would just change the approval to change the 100 square meters to approve it to 104 square meters instead of 113. That would allow them to keep their pool shed and their garage, but it'd be up to the applicant to decide how they use their 104 square meters. I think the zoning bylaw dictates 100 meters, so we would allow another 4, and then the applicant choose to keep his pool shed and keep his shed at the same size if he so desired, or he could keep his garden shed and take it out of the garage. Again, I don't think we would dictate how he would divide it up, but it seemed like an option that he presented in his presentation.
Committee members, anything further? Okay, I'm not seeing anything. I'm just going to confirm based on that discussion before we move forward. The 104 was something that you were looking at. Let me rephrase that. While not maybe your most desirable outcome, it would be something that would be feasible in terms of what you're looking at constructing on the property, Mr. Fisher?
Ideally, I would like to keep the garden shed because again, it's located on the back corner of the property that otherwise is difficult to use, and certainly the directly behind it is the neighbor's garden shed. So from that perspective, it doesn't. I don't think it takes anything away from the property to be there. But I would certainly prefer to have that 9 square meters or the 83 square meter garage. And if I absolutely had to remove the garden shed, I could do that, but would obviously have to wait until after the garage was built because I would have nowhere to store the contents until I had the garage to place it in.
Creates another question through you to David. Is that something that could be worked out with the building permit to allow him to build before he remove the shed? Is that something that the building permit stage can take care of?
Through the chair, member Cronin, I believe so. That's something that can be negotiated with the building department folks. I don't think it would be out of the question. So.
Thank you.
Okay. All right. Committee members, one last call. Any other questions or comments? Okay, I'm not seeing anything. How would you like to proceed with the application?
Oh,
Tim?
Go ahead, Charles.
Go ahead, Tim.
Tim.
Okay, go ahead, Tim.
Okay, I would move the minor variance application A2521 for Wayne Fisher to part lot 15 1224, municipal address 8 Trailwood Drive in West Mount Road, request relief from the zoning bylaw be approved with sections 1, 2, and 3, and 3 being modified to include all detached accessory structures of 104 square meters be approved.
Do I have a seconder for that motion? Sure. A seconder?
I'll second it.
Okay, thank you, Jim. So Tim moved it, Jim second. Any final discussion on the motion before I call the question? Okay, all those in favor of the motion as presented? 2, 3. Okay, so I've got Tim, Charles, and Jim. All those opposed? Okay. All right. Hans, you're abstaining, or is that, is this it? Oh, this
Hans
is the
is-
applicant.
Yep,
Okay,
you got it.
thank you. Thank you. I can still see him. That's why I was curious. All righty. Okay, so sorry about that. That was my confusion on that last part on calling the question. So your application has been approved with the one minor modification from 113 down to 104 square meters. And I just would like to remind you that the last day of appeals on the applications are January 5th, 2022. And thank you again for your presentation today.
All right, thank you for your consideration.
Thank you.
Okay. Nancy, I'll let you do your stuff for Hans and you can proceed with application B14 2021, please.
Sounds good. Okay, Hans, you can hear me again now?
I can.
Perfect. Okay. So the next application this evening is consent application B14 2021 for Skyline Real Estate Holdings, Inc. for the property at 15 Snyder Avenue North, Elmira. The property is zoned residential multiple R7 with floodway provisions and flood fringe provisions and contains a 3-story apartment building. GSP Group, on behalf of the property owners of 15 Snyder Avenue North, have submitted a consent application for a proposed drainage easement on the subject lands in favor of the adjacent lands identified as 44-46 Church Street West. The proposed easement will provide a drainage route over the property at 15 Snyder Avenue North for overland flow to the Weigel Drain via a swale. The lands at 44-46 Church Street West are proposed to be redeveloped with a 4-story apartment building. And Jennifer Gaudette is here from GSP Group to speak to the application.
Thank you, Nancy. Okay, Jen, presentation, please.
Yes, hi, Nancy. Thanks for the
Hi.
introduction. And thank you, Linda. My name is Jennifer Gaudette. I'm a planner with GSP Group. I apologize, I've got a bit of a cold, so hopefully I can come through okay. We're the planning consultants for Wayne Martin and Rick Brubaker. They're the owners of 44 and 46 Church Street. Wayne and Rick are the applicants for the proposed consent, which, as Nancy mentioned, seeks to establish a stormwater easement over 15 Snyder Avenue North, which is owned by Skyline Real Estate Holdings. Consent seeks to legalize the existing stormwater pattern, which is overland flow to the Weigel Drain via a grass swale. The request will facilitate a 4-story apartment building, which was the subject of an official plan and zoning bylaw amendment earlier this year. Both applications were approved, and as part of those applications, a functional servicing report was prepared by K-Smart Engineering. That report looked at stormwater management and servicing options, and the engineers determined that the most appropriate stormwater approach for this site was to continue the existing drainage pattern to the Weigel Drain. So that consent that we're asking for now requests to legalize that. Stormwater will be controlled through an orifice, which will ensure that the current amount of stormwater directed to the drain remains the same under the proposed development conditions. So post and pre-development stormwater flows will be the same. So we're just gonna have a drink of water here. Thank you. My cold's getting the best of me here. Additional stormwater that is held back by that orifice will be ponded on the parking lot to a depth of up to 30 centimeters. And an oil grit separator will ensure that any of the stormwater leaving the site meets the municipal standards for cleanliness. We're in favor of the proposed conditions and are happy to answer any questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Jen. You did just fine, even with all your challenges today. Thank you.
Yeah, I've run
any
friends.
What's that?
I'm out of the Fisherman's Friends here, so it's getting a little raspy at 5.
Committee members, any questions for the applicant's consultant? Hans?
Madam Chair, to the applicants or the applicant's representative, is salt water management included in the outflow controls?
Hi, through you, Madam Chair. I'm actually not sure how stormwater will be addressed specific, or salt will be addressed specifically. The engineering report doesn't mention it. David, are you familiar?
Yeah, thanks, Jen. Through the chair, Hans, the development would be subject to site plan control and a future site plan agreement. So as part of that site plan agreement, there would be a salt management plan included that would address that for the outflow.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions from the committee? Okay, I'm not seeing any from committee. I understand that there may be some members of the public listening in on the application. If anyone would like to speak to this application.
Ms. Salazzo, if you'd like to turn on your audio, if you wanted to speak to the application.
Okay. Okay. Looks like I don't see anybody coming on, Nancy, so.
No.
Did you have an indication that somebody wanted to speak to it?
No, Linda, Vicky Martin and Ryan Beauchamp are the applicants, the two respective property owners, and Jennifer Salazzo is an adjacent resident. I do not see anything in the chat and she's not unmuting. Jennifer, just wanted to confirm if you can even include in the chat for me. Did you want to speak to the application?
Just wondered, while we're waiting for that, Ms. Martin or Mr. Beauchamp, did you, either of you wanted to say anything further?
We have nothing further for the Martins here.
Okay, thank you.
I also have nothing to contribute.
Okay, thank you. Thank you both. Okay, I'm going to go on the fact, I think we've covered the basis then. So one last call for the committee. Any further comments or questions? Seeing none, committee members, how would you like to proceed with this application? Charles?
I'd make a motion that consent application B14 2021 be approved subject to staff recommendations A and B.
I have a seconder.
I'll second.
Hans. So Charles moved, Hans second. Any final discussion on the motion? Okay, seeing none, all those in favor? Okay, and that is carried. All right, thank you. Thank you everyone for attending. Thank you, Jen, for your presentation. Probably don't have to say it, but just a reminder that there is the 20-day appeal period and it will expire on January 5th, 2022. Thank you.
Thank you, Linda.
And that's all our applications, correct, Nancy?
Correct, Linda. We would just then have the minutes from November 15th.
Very good, thank you. So committee, on that note, minutes from our last meeting in November, anything to note for those minutes for Nancy? Can I have a motion to approve?
I so move.
Hans? Seconder?
Second it.
Jim? All those in favor of the minutes? That's carried as well. Okay, I don't think we have any other business to address today.
Oh,
David, I see your hand up.
Yeah, Linda, I just wanted, just for committee's information, that the township, regarding the last application that was on the minutes from the November meeting, the proposed consent by Marlborough Capital Limited, the township is in receipt of an appeal to the Ontario Land Tribunal. I think it's still the Ontario Land Tribunal. They keep changing the name. But we are in receipt of an appeal regarding that application. So I just thought I'd note that for committee's information. So
Thank you.
Thank you.
Not surprised, but yep. Okay.
Any idea when it might hit the tribunal, when the appeal might be heard? What's the time span nowadays?
It's a good question, Tim. I mean, I've seen these things, I would say at least 6 months, upwards to a year. But if they're going to a settlement and not a full hearing, it may be quicker than a year for sure. But I know from my recent experience, the tribunal, it takes some time for a date to be set. So we'll certainly keep the committee updated as we hear back from the province in that regard. So.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, thank you. Thank you. Just before we sign off, so just a reminder that our next meeting is Tuesday, January 18th, and not Monday, Tuesday. And I believe we're still at 4:30, correct, Nancy?
Correct. We're going to stay with the same time moving forward. Given again what's going on with the different variants and strains, in the foreseeable, 4 to 6 months, we're going to continue